Welcome to This Week in High School Sports, sponsored by Red Onion Burgers, best tasting burgers in Mountain Lake Terrace. It is the first week of March, which means it's time to start thinking spring sports seasons. All of our teams that are going to be participating are now out on the fields, practicing, getting ready to go for the season. But first, we have one more winter sport team that we still need to talk about because they just wrapped up their season this past weekend. It was the Edmonds-Woodway Warriors girls basketball team qualifying and going to the Tacoma Dome. We talked about this last week after their victory over Gig Harbor. And the Warriors, with a nice showing on Wednesday, their first game of the tournament, defeating Bethel, and in doing so, advancing into the state quarterfinals. They then lost their next two games. It was a double elimination tournament, but nonetheless, one of the final 8 teams in the state to be playing at the 3A girls level. But rather than me giving you a bunch of results as to what happened in those games, why not bring a few of the players into the studio to talk about that? Here's the interview we did earlier with Warriors basketball players Adrian, Rebecca, and Brooke. It's time for another chat with the Edmonds-Woodway Warriors girls basketball team. We just had a few of them in here a couple of weeks ago, but didn't know they were going to the Tacoma Dome at the time, so we had to bring them back fresh off of the state tournament. We have with us right now 2 seniors, Adrian Poling on the end and Rebecca DeSoligood in the middle. And then the junior, Brooke Kearney. Girls, congratulations.
Thank you.
This is huge. Weren't sure if you were going to get there. We knew you were on the verge the other day. I know, Rebecca, when you were in here 2 weeks ago with Coach and with AJ, we knew you were getting so close and you needed a victory over Gig Harbor, and lo and behold, you got it.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, I mean, talk a little bit about this. We should mention Gig Harbor. You had to defeat them in a loser-out game. So if you lose that game, you're done. If you win, you're going to the Dome. The defending state champs. And Adrian, you had yourself a game. You put up quite a few points in that one. Talk a little bit about the game itself.
I think that we just went into that game really wanting to win because we knew what the result would be, and that would be the Tacoma Dome. So I think everyone was just so excited to play that game, and I know Brooke had a really great
we're going to talk about
last
Brooke's
few
final
minutes.
minute here.
But it was just a really fun game altogether.
And the game was it was down south, right? So you were the lower seed of the two. So they get technically a home game, but not on a neutral site. Where was the game located at? That was down in the Mount Tahoma High School. So not too far from Gig Harbor. Rebecca, you told me before we started rolling with the tape, the most enjoyable game you've ever played in.
Yeah,
and you've played some basketball games.
Oh, yeah.
What makes this one so much more special than the others?
I mean, then again, like what Adrian said, we all knew what the result was, and we all just wanted it so bad. And, Tacoma has always been, like, the place that we wanted to go, like, throughout all of our, like, high school careers. So definitely wanted it so bad. So it's great that we made it.
And in order to make it, they needed a couple of clutch baskets down the stretch. She mentioned the young lady sitting right to my right here. She hit 2 3-pointers in the final minute, and we're going to talk to her about that. And in doing so, last week, Brooke, we named you the Action Jackson Plumbing Player of the Week. Now you get to be triplets with these two. They already have a shirt from earlier this year, so you're going to join Adrian and Rebecca for that. And I'm going to hold on to this shirt for a moment because we're going to name a 4th player even here shortly. But Brooke, let's talk about your final minute of the game. You go into that minute, you have 1 point for the entire game.
Yes.
I think tie game against Gig Harbor, 50 seconds to go. And you hit a big 3.
Yes.
Tell me about the play.
Okay, the first play, the first 3 that I had, was just really slowed down the clock a little bit. It was a pass from Rebecca the first time. She skipped it over to me. It was from the left side, and I hit that 3. And then Maxwell came down, hit another 3, so it tied the game up. And then came back down. We took our time. The ball swung to a while, and then it went to Adrian in the middle. And then it almost got we almost lost the ball right there. But then it got back over to AJ, who did another cross skip pass to me, the same exact spot, hit a 3 with 7 seconds left, and then.
So in case you weren't following, so they hit a 3 with 50 seconds to go to take the lead. Their star player comes down about 20 seconds later, ties the game up again with her own 3, and then you hit the final one with 7 seconds to go. Yeah. When you hit the first one, were you kind of in your mind thinking, I might have just helped us win this game?
Yeah, that was my first thought. I thought we got the game. We're just gonna slow it down, take our time. Then.
So what happens when she goes and hits hits her 3 on the other end? Are you thinking, well, there goes my moment?
Yeah, kind of. But then I was we could go over to overtime. There's so many possibilities that could have happened, but just had to land in the spot. But I wouldn't have been able to do it without the other people on the team. So.
Well, Rebecca, and you were talking about this earlier too. I mean, when Maxwell from the other team, who's going to the University of Utah to play basketball, so a really good player, when she goes down and hits her three, and she then at that point had 31 points in the game, were you thinking, really? This is how it's going to end?
Oh my gosh, it was crazy. I was just like, oh man, we got to get this next possession. Like, we got to make something happen. Like, I don't care if it's a three or if it's a foul. Like, we just gotta get the next possession. So.
Got the possession, got the win, moved on to the Tacoma Dome, and let's go ahead and talk about that Tacoma Dome experience. The 12-team tournament started this past Wednesday. Adrian, you're a senior. Your freshman year, you were on that varsity team that made it the last time that Edmonds-Woodway was in the Tacoma Dome. Does it help having that experience? I know you didn't play a lot as a freshman, but we always hear about how overwhelming the Tacoma Dome can be, and when a player first goes in, experiences it for the first time, how difficult it is. You'd been there, done that type of a thing, so was it a little easier for you this time around?
I think it was a little bit easier. I mean, like you said, it's a little overwhelming going into there because it's so big, there's so many fans, but I think as the game started, everyone kind of got used to it, and so we just focused in on the game and weren't really focused on what was around us.
Yeah, so 10:30 morning game on Wednesday. You went down Tuesday night just to get a little acclimated, and obviously didn't want to have to make that commute. Rebecca, the team walked through the dome. Is that what I understand the day before?
Yeah, so as soon as we got to our hotel, checked in, and got settled in our rooms, John took us to the dome, and we were just kind of checking out to see how the kind of courts were feeling like, and how like the hoops were kind of be a little bit harder with like the far background and stuff with like the stands so far. But you know, it was really cool. We were all just like kind of in a struck position and stuff, but it was really cool.
Kind of getting the ooh and the on out
Yeah.
of the way.
Yeah.
So did you practice a little bit? Did you take a few shots just to kind of get a feel, or was
no,
it
they
more
wouldn't
of
let us shoot around.
Oh, they don't
so-
let you. Okay, so you
no,
just have to
no.
kind of eye everything and see what
Yep.
it's all about.
Yep.
What was it like for you, Brooke? You're a shooter. I mean, I always hear about the depth perception of shooting in the dome and how different it is. Were you kind of looking through the glass and noticing the stands behind you and how much different it was?
Yeah, for sure. Because like especially during warm-ups during our first game, like it's so hard to get the depth percentage down of like the stands that are behind us, which is where we first warmed up for like most of our games. And it was just really hard to get that first down. But then like you get used to it when you keep playing.
And Rebecca, I can give you a hard time about this now because you won the first game. Well, spoiler alert here, but your first couple shots were a little bit
Yeah.
rough, weren't they?
Yeah, I airballed the first couple threes, but you know, it's okay. I kept shooting because you know John and the other coaches were, you know, shooters shoot, but still kept that in mind and actually had a couple threes.
You had a
first-
solid
yeah.
game. Yeah, absolutely. So do you attribute the airballs to the nerves of the Tacoma Dome? Was it depth perception? Was it?
It was both.
Yeah?
It was both.
All of the
Definitely
above?
both. Yeah.
But she did have an outstanding game, or we wouldn't have brought it up. Adrian, you didn't seem to be too nervous in that first quarter. You jump out to an 18-4 lead over a Bethel team that, if we're being honest, a lot of the experts and a lot of the coaches probably in the building weren't expecting Edmonds-Woodway to win that game. 18-4 lead in the first quarter, and I know you had a few big shots there. So tell me about the first quarter and what that was like.
I mean, it wasn't on me. We had I think Brooke hit a three. I think we just everyone was hitting their shots. And so it was going our way, and it just made it a lot easier for us down the stretch when they went on their runs.
So what did you know about Bethel going into the game? We knew that they had already defeated Prairie earlier in the year, and Prairie was the team that ultimately won the state championship and was ranked number 1. Were you intimidated by them? If you were, you didn't show it. I mean, what was the scouting report when we were getting ready for Bethel?
We had a couple soccer players on our team as well, and so they got out by Gig Harbor earlier in the year. So there were a couple girls on the basketball team that played soccer, and so they really wanted that win. But it was a fun game.
Yeah, and you kind of rolled to victory in that one. And we should mention, too, and this is where I held the shirt for now, we're going to give another player of the game because it's another week now. Another Action Jackson Plumbing Player of the Week, and we're going to give this to Ingrid Fosberg because she had 4 threes in that game. Yes. Talk about Ingrid's performance and how she hit some of those key threes. Becca, you were throwing some of those passes around, so kind of nice when you're swinging the ball to players who are draining those threes.
Yeah, definitely. Ingrid is a great shooter. She's probably one of my favorite teammates ever. She's got so much positivity and so much like energy on the court. And you know, when she starts hitting those threes, like everybody, like the whole team I know gets excited. So she's awesome.
So when you win a game in the Tacoma Dome, and especially under the circumstances, again, I think a lot of folks were surprised to see this 9-loss in the regular season Edmonds-Woodway team. That are they going to make it out of districts? Then can they win a regional game? And all of a sudden, here you are in the Tacoma Dome, kind of spoiling the party, so to speak. When you win that game, in one regard, it's a huge victory, but at the same time, you have to start getting ready for your next game. Do you give yourself a little time to celebrate? What's it like in the locker room after a game like that, Brooke?
It's very exciting, like even just after the game, like we're all just jumping up and down, hugging each other, and like when we go in the locker room, we're all so excited again, just screaming. We're so excited for each other.
Compare and contrast it a little bit, Adrian. You were there a few years ago. Did it different feel as a senior when you win a big game?
Yeah, I think I just had a different role this year than I did my freshman year, and so it was obviously a different feel. But I also have a lot of teammates around me who make it even better.
And we've talked about it in the past. A team that seems to enjoy being around one another. It's a pretty tight-knit group. See 3 heads shaking their head yes the right way. You end up losing the next 2 games. We should point that out. You lost to Prairie, which is a team that went on to win state, and then Snohomish, who took 4th. When you have a chance now, and it's been a few days removed from the Tacoma Dome, your last game was on Friday. As you start to kind of reflect now and look back on the season, one of the final 8 teams to be playing at the end of the year in the state. Rebecca, are you feeling pretty good about the way everything kind of played out this year?
Oh, definitely. This season was so much fun, especially just being a senior and being able to make it to state was probably like the highlight of my high school career.
And Adrian, this is a team that we thought had aspirations of state last year and kind of fell short in the district playoffs. This kind of make up for it. I mean, what was the experience like for you overall, just overall in the season?
Last year, I think everyone expected us to make it just because of our record, but we hit a lot of adversity this year.
Mm-hmm.
We were almost the same team, lost a few people to injury, but we just got where we wanted to go this year, and it was great to kind of shock some people.
And Brooke, it's never a given, right? But this is a team that's still, you lose these 2 and a few other really good seniors. Is the junior group and the sophomores, are they already talking about, it'd be nice to get back here another year? Or
Yeah,
is that a little further off still?
Yeah, it's definitely gonna be different next year. We're losing a lot of offensive players, like most of our scores and stuff. And then we're getting Mia Dickinson back, defensive stopper, and yeah.
So we'll get Mia healthy and another run at this thing. Just overall Tacoma Dome experiences too. Did you again? You played 3 morning games all 3 straight days. It's a lot of downtime when you're down in Tacoma. What were some of the? Were you Adrian? Do you enjoy watching games? You're kind of a gym rat, right? A little bit.
Yeah, even the years that we didn't make state, I would always go down and watch the games, and so this year it was fun. We knew a lot of the people in the tournament. I know that John Rasmussen used to coach at Glacier Peak,
yeah.
so we watched a few of their games. It's fun to watch it with your teammates.
Glacier Peak on Wednesday night, a double overtime victory over Chiawana. So
Yeah.
that must have been kind of exciting to watch.
It was a really good game.
Did you have a favorite moment, Rebecca, that didn't involve your own team, or was it? It doesn't have to be basketball, I guess. Just the trip in general. Did you
No,
have
yeah, definitely the trip was so much fun. Being able to room with my teammates and stuff. A lot of us were just having fun. Like we all had our little snacks in the room, so that was really cool. That the parents.
and since you brought up the room, I guess we have to give Adrian a hard time for a moment, right? They told me right before we started interviewing, you got your own bed out of the deal. Everybody else was sharing. Is that senior privilege, or what, how does that work? Is that being a 4-year varsity player, or what?
It's just how it worked out. The rest is history.
Pulled a few strings and got to room with their own. And I do want, on a more serious note, I do want to mention one thing too here. You all have GP written on your hands.
Yeah.
I know your head coach, John Rasmussen, whose mom is very ill right now. Talk about what the GP means and tribute, giving a nice little tribute to Coach. Who wants to?
Yeah. So. Okay. So GP. So Nat Rasmussen, John's daughter. I talked to her before.
Who's your assistant coach?
Yeah. So I talked to her before the game, and we were just like, "Hey, what's your grandma's name?" And she's like, "Oh, her name is Caroline, but we call her Grandma Pancake." So Kristen Rainin, she brought a Sharpie, and so we all decided to write GP on our hands to kind of recognize John's mom.
And did Coach Rasmussen see that during the game, or did you tell him about it, or?
It was kind of a surprise.
Yeah. After the game, I think he made a few comments about it. So.
Very
Definitely.
nice. So again, a nice tribute to him. We start to look forward now for all three of you. Again, a fantastic way to end the year. Tacoma Dome. Anytime you get to the Tacoma Dome, it's a big deal.
Yeah.
Two seniors down here on the end. Adrian, is this basketball something you want to pursue in the future? You certainly have the talent for it. Is that something you might be looking to do?
There's a lot of things in the works right now. Ultimately, I'm looking to just go to college and get, like, academically, that's the most important thing for
Good
me.
for
And
you.
if I get to play basketball, that's going to make it even better.
So we will wait and see on that one. And then Rebecca, what about you?
I would definitely. I've got a few coaches trying to recruit me, so definitely hitting a dream that I've been aspired to make come true ever since I was in 5th grade. So I will be playing basketball somewhere. Not sure yet.
And playing well in the Tacoma Dome doesn't hurt either, right? I mean,
Oh,
a lot of those
oh,
coaches
yeah.
were there, right? So,
Oh yeah.
so hopefully that'll work out for you too. And then Brooke, you're not only are you not done playing at Edmonds-Woodway, you've got another year left. You've got some AAU ball coming up, right?
Yep, still playing this season, and we're gonna be traveling during the summer to a few places.
And which team are you playing for?
Hoopaholics.
Okay. Any Edmonds-Woodway teammates with you, or
Just Lily Frunk, but like that's pretty much it.
okay? So
We play against other people that play on the team too sometimes.
keeping busy with them and not
Yeah.
giving up basketball yet. So again, a great finish to the season. I know some rough patches during the middle of the year, but hey, it all worked out in the end, and you got where you ultimately wanted to be, which was the Tacoma Dome. So again, congratulations. And before we go, we're going to make sure we give Brooke her shirt so she can wear that proudly along with Rebecca, Adrian, and then we'll get Ingrid one as well. Again, congratulations, ladies, on a great year, and best of luck to you in the future.
Thank you.
Thanks once again to the Edmonds-Woodway Warriors girls basketball team for their time in the studio today. And again, congratulations to them on an outstanding season, especially what they were able to accomplish in postseason play, making it through districts, defeating the defending state champion in regionals, and then winning a first-round game at the Tacoma Dome against a very tough Bethel team. Outstanding job, ladies. Now, from one team with success over the weekend and over the course of the entire season to another, we're going to talk a little cheer again. Just had the Lynnwood Royals cheer squad in here a few weeks ago to talk about their season and their upcoming trip to state and then ultimately to nationals. Little did we know then how successful those two trips were going to be. Second place at the state championships about a month ago. And then last weekend, they went down to Anaheim, California, where they finished 5th in their category for nationals. A really nice month for the Royals, so we thought we'd bring in a couple of the cheer members onto the studio here, as well as their coach. Here's a conversation we had with the Lynnwood Royals cheer squad. Joining us right now on the show, the Lynnwood cheer team. We just had them on about 6 weeks ago, but we had to bring them back. After all, since that time, second place at state, at the state cheer competition, and then they went even bigger, 5th place at nationals last week. And joining us right now, the head coach, Amber Torres, along with Sarah Bouchard, who is a junior, and Rachel Cooper, who was on the show just a few weeks ago, the senior. Ladies, congratulations.
Thank you.
That is huge. Before we talk about nationals, though, I do want to back up a little bit. Rachel, you were in here, I think it was the week before we went to state.
Yes.
And at the time we were talking, I think this is a team that finished 7th last year. You were looking to improve upon that. Number 2 is not bad.
No, not at all.
How are you feeling about things?
I feel very proud of it because we actually went all in with all we can give. So I feel like we did great.
Second place is sometimes a tough one to swallow because it's not quite first, but at the same time it's outstanding. I'll ask you, Sarah. I mean, is it feeling good about the second place finish? I mean, were you happy with that?
Yeah, after last year, it just felt like such a downfall after this season we had, and it just felt like a comeback this year to get second.
And coach over there sitting proudly, I'm sure she was pretty happy with it.
I
Talk about the
am.
entire experience. It was down at Battleground High School. How was the experience as a whole?
So the girls are always great to travel with. They're easy to manage. You know, they're really responsible, and they just kind of went in with this mindset of that they were going to go in and do their best performance. And that's all I ever asked, because at the end of the day, if somebody's better than you, they're better than you, and they deserve to do their best as well. You just need to come in with the best routine you can do and what you have, and I think they did that, and I think they executed to a T. You know, we did get a couple deductions here and there for small and minor things, but that wouldn't have changed the placement, and I think that's what made us a little more comfortable with where we were sitting. I think they went in with a ton of difficulty in their routine and threw a showstopper, but at the end of the day, I think there's some cleanliness factors that we could work on a little bit more to get us into that top spot, which is what our competitor did have over us, was that cleanly, clean routine. So
And Rachel, did you know it was cleanly and clean from the get-go? I mean, as soon as the music stopped, again, there are so many moving parts to a cheer routine, and a lot of different other bodies out there, quite frankly. Did you know right away, yeah, we nailed this one?
Yeah, like every time you can always tell like the energy that all of us give. You can always tell like it's always like a certain way every time. So like I could just like feel that everyone actually like did like hit the routine.
And that's a long bus ride down to Battleground.
Yeah.
Long bus ride back too. Sir, does it make it a little bit shorter when you have that second place trophy coming home with you and everybody's
Yeah.
feeling pretty good?
It feels a lot nicer, like you did what you came to do.
A lot of celebrating on the way home, or what was that trip like?
Yeah, a little bit.
So second place at state, always a big deal. We got to talk nationals now, though. This is huge. Anaheim, California, nice trip there. Amber, what were the expectations going in? Because quite frankly, unlike state, you don't know where these teams are coming from. You haven't seen most of them in the past.
Yeah.
Do you kind of let yourself go in there with any expectations, or do you just kind of feel, let's go do our best and let the chips kind of fall where they may?
yeah, so I've competed in the circuit before, so I know a lot of the teams coming in there. I'm from California, so I kind of knew what they were going in for. For our non-tumbling small division, there's only two options between going novice and going advanced. And for me as a coach, I'm not going to drop my kids down and put them in an easier division just so they could possibly like win a first place trophy. Kept them in that advanced mode. So I knew what they were going into and what they were going against, and I told them I was like, the best we could do and the best thing we could hope for is to possibly make it to finals, and we definitely surpassed that goal. They took the top 8 teams out of 18 into finals, and we were seeded 7th and ended up in 5th, which is phenomenal and far beyond all the expectations I think we had set. My idea for them was to just dip their toes in the water, see what a national event is like, see what other states have to offer in this venue, and just kind of do what we came to do. And I think they did that and delivered.
So this is a little different than state, in which at state you perform one time and you're done, and you wait for your score. So Rachel, you performed the first time, it sounds like, with 18 teams in your classification, and from there you get it narrowed down to 8. So performance number 1 ends. I mean, I guess I should ask. Same performance as that the one you performed at state, same routine, or was it different?
We changed it up just a little bit to make the make it more difficult, so we can just get a higher score in a way. So it wasn't the same, but I feel like we did execute it the same way as we did at the state.
When you say more difficult, more throws, more what was more difficult about it?
We just added some more harder skill levels for the cheer.
Yeah,
few more
so
moving
more
parts
difficult stunts, compounded speed is always a big one.
Yeah.
Just adding a little bit more into those dull moments and just kind of upping the ante as best as we could without changing the originality of the routine and something that we're used to executing fairly well.
So, Sarah, do you get to watch the other teams perform as well? If so, where were you in the mix? Did you have a chance to watch some of them perform before your team went on, or?
I don't think we watch any of the teams. You kind of stand behind and you wait for your turn to come up, and you can't really see behind the curtain because there's a wall behind them, so you can't really see what's actually happening.
So when do you actually find out if you've made it to the final 8? Is that something that happens later that night? Is everybody gathered in a room? How does that work?
So you have to wait for all of the other teams to compete. So we waited until I think around 11:30.
Yeah.
It was a long day.
11:30 at night in the convention center in Anaheim. Everybody's gathered up in a huge room waiting to hear their name called. Is that essentially what it is?
Yeah, it's a huge venue, and there's teams still performing, and you have to wait. And these kids are on the floor with their little blankets curled up against the wall. I mean, it was a 17-hour day for them, so it was nothing short of exhaustion out of all of these kids, and getting them ready to kind of, be awake and be a little lively for those final placements was kind of difficult at times, but it was definitely worth the wait. I mean, because we never thought we were going to get anywhere close to those final spots. So.
Well, and then you have to perform again. Is that the very next day?
It's the next day.
Okay.
Yeah. So they have a prearranged kind of schedule to fall into for the next day. So we were up and at 'em bright and early and then ready to go, and our session was over and awards done by noon. So then they got to go play at the park afterwards.
Wait, no. So you find out at 11:30 at night. that you've made the final 8 and then you perform the next morning.
Yeah.
Wow, it's good to be young again, I guess, right? So how tough was that week? How tough was that the next morning then? I
It
mean,
was really hard to wake up. Like we slept at like 1 and then like had to wake up at 5. Just a lot.
and when was the routine then? What time in the morning was the second routine?
Wasn't at
I
10.
think it was at 10.
Okay, so you had a little bit of time to
Yeah.
wake
A
up.
little bit of time.
Okay.
Then, that prep time, that glamour time, getting ready, walking over to the convention center from the hotel, and being there an hour earlier than we were supposed to go into warm-ups. These kids are running on fumes at this point.
Yeah.
So,
Did you have enough energy to still celebrate the moment? Because 5th place at nationals is a big deal. I mean,
yeah.
what was that experience like, Sarah? What was going through your mind when they announced your name?
I think I was just really proud of us because I don't think we expected to jump 2 places. It was just a really proud moment for me after this whole season.
And did you know right away when the second performance the same as the first one, correct? So you just basically did the routine over again.
yeah.
Did you feel as strongly about the second one? I mean, did you kind of know that maybe you had a shot, Rachel, or?
Well, the second performance we did wasn't like the best we could have done. Like we were very like low energy that day, so like we weren't like unsure about how like the placements would have worked at the end. But like we were really like surprised and like happy that we did get 5th place.
So you didn't necessarily walk off the floor going top 5.
No, none of us were really high energy. We're all kind of just like mellow the whole day.
And I think
can
the thing
imagine.
about the energy was that, not that they didn't have enough energy, but the venue was so big for finals. You go from a smaller hall, which is still massive, by the way, but going into this arena and then having to fill that with 15 girls, cheering for a crowd of thousands. You're sitting there and it's kind of quiet. So, and these kids fuel really well off of others' energy, which is why I felt at state we had a lot of people behind us, a lot of people who know us and there for us. But at nationals, a much smaller amount of those people know who Lynnwood is, know where our blip on the map is, and so they kind of fed off of that energy. But I thought they put on a good show overall. It was just not the cleanest we could have done, but I mean, we were still really happy with it, and I told them to be proud of what they did.
Yeah, you should be proud if you're at 5th at any level, let alone nationally. Does this come with a trophy?
Yes.
So is the trophy going into the Lynnwood High School trophy case? Is it already there?
If it fits.
It's a big trophy then.
It's
Okay.
pretty tall. I will say we're running out of space, so which is a good problem to have. We're gonna have to start retiring some stuff.
Okay.
And
Put it right next to the Lynnwood girls basketball championship trophy from a few years ago. Does it rival that one?
I think that's a big one for our school, so we might just keep this one in our case for a little bit. As of right now, it's sitting on my desk in the school, in the main office, so it's nice to see the little reminder of how much these girls have worked. And
We should mention that Amber does work at the school, so do you occasionally go by just to see Coach and take a look at the trophy?
I like bothering her.
Yeah. Is it more about bothering her or going and looking at the trophy?
Bothering
Bothering her?
bothering me for sure.
So as a coach, what's been your favorite experience about all of this? I mean, obviously, going to nationals, doing so well at state, you get to work with this group of young ladies.
I think it's always fun to travel and see, how these girls rank up against everybody else. But honestly, the biggest thing for me was seeing the growth. I think a lot of people kind of counted us out last year as I lost 11 seniors and going in with such a rookie team. I only have 4 girls on this competitive team out of 15 who have ever competed with me before. So it's almost a dozen kids coming in new. I think people counted us out and they thought we were kind of done and they thought we were on the come down and that our reign was good for a little bit and we did really good, but we weren't going to get any further. But just seeing the growth and seeing how these kids let me coach them and how moldable they are and how they just let me feed them information and they take it really well has been the best part of it all, because it's just showing how, as people come in, this program can continue to grow as long as people are receptive to my training and coaching style. And I mean, these are examples of that too, because I've had them since day one, and this team has done nothing but exceed all of my expectations I've had for them.
Well, and Rachel, for you being the senior here on the table, my goodness, I mean, 2nd at state, 5th at nationals, quite the month, right? I mean, what a way to end your cheer career. I mean, have you had a chance to kind of stop over the last week now, and do you have to almost pinch yourself and go, is this real? I mean, what's it been like for you now, a week removed, kind of looking back and reflecting on how everything's kind of played out?
It doesn't seem very real to me because the past years of doing cheer, everything's been just very like this and that, and we just do a certain routine every single time, just cheer season, comp season, then we're done. But this time we actually went places and all that, and I just think that's a good experience for me too.
When you think back to your sophomore year, I mean, this team has come so far, right?
So
I mean,
far.
you had. I'm imagining if I would have put you in a time machine and gone back 2 years, Could you have envisioned anything like this?
No, I was so confused my first year on the team. I didn't know what I was going into. I was just so confused. Like I was like,
Just happy to be there.
I was so happy to be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And now for you, Sarah, I mean, what's this like as a junior? I mean, are the girls already talking about next year? I mean, have you got a little taste of state and nationals? Does it just make you want to push that much harder?
Yeah, I want like more. I want to get that first place at state, and I just hope that like the next season like we can push and we can do that even like with a new team and new people.
And a lot of returners next year?
For the most part, yeah, everybody should be coming back, so I will have a lot of returners. I also want to bring in a ton more people. I think it'd be great to grow the program because it's more people to train and get ready for the future, and then that's how, you know, the best teams in the state are built. They start as freshmen, which here we can only start them as sophomores. So I'm starting a year later than everybody else and trying to get these kids to play catch up. So just being able to train a couple more kids a little bit sooner is going to make this program flourish a little bit more.
And Rachel, when we talked a few weeks ago, when you and Bella were in here, we talked about the fact that when you got down there initially in Anaheim, you were going to have that first day off, and it sounded at the time like Disneyland was in the equation to
Yeah, it was.
on the itinerary. So what was that experience like? I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you guys about Anaheim if you're down there. I mean, did you get the Disney experience, and
We
what did you do in your off time?
We went to Disneyland and we just got like walk around with like each other. Like it was a very fun like time to like hang out with each other.
Everybody as a team, kind of walking around, or
Well, we kind of like dispersed into small groups, but other than that, like we also like mixed like all that.
favorite moment that didn't involve cheer?
I like the Incredicoaster.
Yeah.
And also the Guardians of the Galaxy. That
Okay.
was a fun
Oh my
one.
Let's go. So anybody going to Disneyland this summer? That's something you need to
Those
check
rides
out.
are
Those are
fun.
fun.
What about you, Sarah? Did you have a favorite moment? Or
Probably Guardians of the Galaxy. Me
Okay.
and Rachel just laughed
We
the
went
whole
on it twice.
time.
did you? Okay.
Yeah.
How was the line?
Not
Actually,
that
it wasn't
bad.
Okay. Late February, the time to go then.
Yeah.
Coach, what about you? Favorite moment down in Anaheim during the trip?
So
Outside of the cheer?
I'm really lucky I get to bring my husband and my daughter, so that's always exciting to see her, and she loves them, and she
And how old
interacts
is
with
she?
them. She is 4,
Okay.
and she calls them her cheerings because she doesn't know how to say cheerleader yet. So cheerings is the go-to, and she just loves them like they're all older sisters, and they take her and they, you know, ride rides with her, and they're constantly taking photos with her, and she just feels so special. So seeing my actual daughter compete or you know, hang out with my pseudo daughters is always really exciting for me, and just seeing them bond outside of cheer like makes my heart really warm.
So who needs Mickey and the princesses when you've got a cheer squad, right?
Who's that?
And what's her name?
Kennedy.
Kennedy. Okay, so Kennedy had a great time. Girls take 5th at nationals, 2nd at state. Lynnwood Royals. It's good to be the cheer squad right now, right?
It's very good to be.
And what's coming up for the spring? Anything fun and interesting? I mean,
So we have All-State on March 23rd, and that's
Okay.
going to be at Kamiak High School. It's an individual competition as well as a stunt group competition. I should have a couple girls going into that as well. I think we still got a little more push in us, so we can do one more. And then our tryout should be in mid-April, so that's something that's coming up relatively soon.
so Sarah will be getting ready for that along with the rest of the returners.
Yes.
And Rachel, what about you? Are you are you participating in the All-Star?
I have no clue yet, but
Okay.
yeah.
She probably will.
Okay, there we go. So she's not quite done yet, possibly. So
Yeah.
again, congratulations on a great year.
Thank you.
I mean, 2nd in state would have been enough, but
Yeah.
take it
We
even
got
one step
more.
further.
It was-
No complaints.
We have more.
Yeah, I think they had a good time. So again, Sarah, Rachel, Amber, congratulations, and
Thank you.
best of luck to the Royals.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Boom. 5th at nationals, 2nd at state. Pretty good month for the Lynnwood Royals cheer squad. Thank you again to Amber, Rachel, and Sarah for their time. It's now time to start talking spring sports. And you can tell I'm prepared. Still a little bit chilly out, but I've got the short sleeves on. Even got my Polo Everett Aqua Sox baseball shirt on. So we are ready to go. And we're ready to start talking about all of our teams. Nothing to report on yet in terms of action on the field. Tryouts and practices have already begun. Let's go ahead and give you a little rundown as to what to expect here coming up this week. Weather permitting, of course, it's that time of year again where we start using that phrase a lot. For baseball, all 4 of our Edmonds School District teams are scheduled to be in action either on Friday or Saturday this week in jamborees preparing for the season. We've got 3 of our schools that are scheduled to be taking part in a jamboree together on Friday. It's Mount Lake Terrace, Lynnwood, and Meadowdale scheduled to be over at Mount Lake Terrace High School on Friday afternoon. And then Edmonds-Woodway will be over at Shorecrest High School Saturday morning for their jamboree. Softball, you got one-stop shopping here. All 4 of our schools are slated to be at Lynnwood High School at 10 a.m. next Saturday for their jamboree. And soccer, we've got one match coming up over the next 7 days. It is the Meadowdale Mavericks boys soccer team scheduled to kick off their season at Issaquah next Saturday. And then, of course, we've got track and field coming up this spring. We've got tennis coming up, and we'll be covering all angles of all of these sports. And golf, too. Don't forget golf throughout the next couple months. So be sure to stay tuned as we will bring you plenty of action, results, and interviews from our local athletes. As always, thank you for watching This Week in High School Sports. Until next time, take care.